Hey guys, welcome to day 4 of 30 Days for Danya. Actually going to be a bit of a different episode this time around. Today I'm going to be reviewing some games that I played on Lichess, or Lichess, however you say it. These are two games that I played I think a day or two ago, and or actually 1 day ago, 24 hours ago. And yeah, I think they're pretty good games. Lots of takeaways for me. So yeah, let's get into it. The first game is going to be against Richie, rated 1515 on Lichess. I'm approximately 1500 at this stage. I haven't played a lot of games on Lichess. I've primarily been playing chess.com. But I kind of just want to test out the different platforms and just play chess. That's it. So I think that's why there's a question mark, is that my rating is, they're kind of, the platform's still uncertain about it, I guess. And the more games that I play, then of course it will become more accurate. So 1500 is quite a long shot from my current chess.com rating. I think I'm around 1300 on rapid in chess.com. So a bit of a difference there, but yeah, let's get on with the game. So here I'm playing with black. So e4, I'm playing the Carl Khan. The knight comes out to f3. I play d5. We exchange, and then my usual goal is to bring out my bishop. So after d4, I bring my bishop out right away. I find that if I delay this, I usually get stuck. Like my bishop gets in a really awkward position, and then if I can't develop it in time, I usually have to try to like fianchetto it on b7, which never works out. And then that always feels very awkward and clunky. So bringing it out here, they respond with bishop f4, and then I usually just close up my diagonal with e6. They attack with h3, and then they push with g4. I'm usually okay with seeing this come out, because then it usually hints to me that they're going to be casting queenside, or that's effectively the goal, and that at least gives me some kind of plan mentally to say, hey, like I have an initiative to attack them on the queen side. And usually, like, if I really wanted to save this bishop, I could just play h6, and then we're okay because I can just tuck it in there. And then they play knight c3. I respond with bishop b4. They respond with bishop b5 with a check. I block with my knight. Makes the most sense to block this way rather than d7, just so that I can keep my knight, just so that it's a little bit more towards the center, and also has a touch point with my bishop. They bring their bishop back to d2, and I develop my knight. The engine wanted knight e7, but then I played knight f6, because I was thinking of this idea to go knight f6 and then knight e4, because I like this kind of, not really an outpost because they still have their f2 pawn, but I like this central activity as well as like placing more pressure on this knight here. So I went with knight f6. This allowed them to play knight e5, and with ideas that either they're going to take here or they're going to take my bishop. Taking my bishop, I'm okay with that, because then once hg, this opens my my file for my rook. And then if takes here, then we take. This is a little bit concerning because then the bishop can fork my king and the rook. So what I did instead was I took with my bishop on their knight c3. So that I don't want to say is like forcing for them, because like the idea is if they don't take here, then I take on b2. But for them to take here, then I can protect my knight. But if this knight drops, then this bishop drops as defender as well, and there's this x-ray going on. So I was thinking to just alleviate that pressure, to trade, and then to deal with the tension here by sliding my rook over, and that's effectively what happened. So after the trade on c3, I bring my rook over to c8, protecting the knight, and then they decide to go for the trade. They take my bishop, which I'm happy to trade over, because their knight was pretty active as well, and in a pretty good position, I'd say, because my knight was blocking the f6 f7 pawn. So I'm happy to trade this actually, so that they have less activity, but it also again opens the file for my rook. Queen f3 is a bit of an inaccuracy apparently. They wanted f3, which I think the idea was to just continue developing so that they could castle queenside, of course, because the kingside is in disarray. I castle, they castle, and then a6 looks like an inaccuracy. I was just trying to tickle the bishop. I was just asking it where it wanted to go. They pulled it back to d3, and then now I can initiate a kingside attack. So I play b5, and then the idea behind it was to continue with b4, move the pawn over, that way we can, or move the bishop over, that way we can attack and put more pressure, or keep pressure from the knight on the d4 pawn. So the bishop has to drop back, then I can take this. Knight d4 comes with tempo on the queen, so they have to move the queen. I just bring this back to protect my pawn again. And then taking here, they're attacking my rook. So then to slide it over b8 and protect this pawn is a good idea. But my idea was to actually move it up to c7. And then that way I could open the avenue for my queen and then initiate some kind of attack along this rank, with then plans to bring my rook over to a7 in the future. So that's somewhat what happened. So I remember in this position, usually in these situations, this is where I will crack, because there's a lot of like complexity and a lot of pieces looking at each other. Lots of tension that you have to like keep map of like which pieces are defending which ones, and which ones can't you move, etc. I find that I struggle with those sometimes, which is why I think looking at the move times, like I spend a lot of time on these moves. So yeah, like almost like a whole minute of these moves. At this point, we are in a really good position. We're minus 2.2. And my thought process was, well, I could continue kind of orchestrating with the pieces that I have. Like I could take the queen, I could take, what I don't want to do is I don't want to neutralize. Like I don't want to offer a queen trade, for example, because I feel like I'm the one with the initiative. So what I'm trying to do then is like, how do I defend and plug up any holes with my current position? And I could use my current pieces, but then the problem is that like I have pieces that are not currently active. So my initial thought was knight d7, which is what I played, because then this kicks the queen and is somewhat like a, I guess it's like counterplay in a way, because for me, I felt like I was under attack, and so the best defense sometimes is offense, and this enabled me to to basically fizzle their attack, and then I can continue on my original plan. So I played knight a8. They have to drop the bishop back, and then I put more pressure on the bishop. They have to drop it back again, which is an inaccuracy. They should have just taken, because then taking from here is just the best way for them to neutralize this position, even though there are still very valid threats on the king side. From here, my original plan was to play rook a7. They should have defended with a3, and that way once ba, they can just push up, and then there is somewhat of safety here for the king, though I feel like they're just delaying the inevitable at this point. If I were to throw a check, the king can just tuck away to a1. And then I'll have to find like counterplay or maneuver somehow, but these bishops are like looking pretty good for white, but it is still pretty bad for black, it seems. But yeah, back to the original board. This c4 move was a mistake because then now I could just take here. And then at this point, they were just ignoring the threat. So then I was able to just throw some checks and then eventually checkmate on a2. This was a nice game. Like, I feel like this was surprisingly one of the first games that I've had where I locked in and committed to an initiative in a way where there's this idea of like a king side attack coming from the push from g4, knowing that they probably wouldn't castle this way. They'd have to castle queen side, and to maneuver my pieces in such a way on the king side was really nice. I feel like it was nice orchestration, and I'm really happy with it. So yeah, that was the first game. Yeah, so this is the next game that I played on the same day against NLS 12345 rated 1741. At this point, I was rated 1759. Again, that's extremely high. But again, the rating systems are like different between Lichess and chess.com. So here I start off with d4, preparing the London. They respond with e6. I play bishop f4. Typical London setup. They respond with d6, which I thought was is pretty offbeat. It's not really like fighting for the center. So I decided to try to take advantage of this with e4, just taking up more space in the center. They respond with bishop e7, and this was a pretty a move that is pretty out there for me. I think I was just having fun at this point. So queen g4, obviously a blunder. Knight c3 is best just to continue developing moves, but the idea of mine was to punish this offbeat opening because the knight hasn't been developed and the bishop has been moved off its original square. Then to put pressure on this g7 pawn, and then subsequently their rook, to see kind of how they would react. That was my idea. So nicely enough, they react poorly to it. So bishop f6 is a blunder, it seems, because then I can hit the bishop with tempo. We trade pawns, and then the bishop has to move or be captured, but they defend with the knight. Best move here that I didn't see was to take the knight, because then after takes, then they take here. I pull this back, hitting the queen. They have to move the queen, and then I guess like normal development continues. Or actually, I also have to like protect this b2 pawn, so then that's why it's push c3. But then that way my attack kind of fizzles out. But then what happened was after this trade, knight h6, I pulled my queen back because I was trying to maintain pressure on this pawn. They bring their knight out to f5, and then I am still trying to maintain pressure along this diagonal, so I bring the queen over to c3, but also in somewhat of a proximity to my king, because I am feeling awfully exposed here, especially with the queen staring down the d file. They bring their bishop back. Now that they don't have to protect this, they bring their bishop to e7, and then I develop knight d2 to also kind of shield my king so that I can prepare to castle. They play knight c6. I pin the knight to the king with bishop b5, and they protect, or I want to say like nullify the pin, let's say, with d7. I exchange. I'm okay with this because this knight originally was placing pressure on this e5, so I'm okay with this trade. And I play knight f3 just to develop my knight towards the center. They castle, I castle long, and they play queen c8. So I don't know what the intention of queen c8 was. Clearly it was a blunder, because at this point I'm already thinking about a kingside attack, or I guess in this case, yeah, kingside attack. So I play the move g4 to hit the knight. They have to move their knight back, but then I just capture to open up their king. This then just creates this long-term weakness for me. Well, this being a weakness, but also this being an opening for me and this being weak. So I plan to exploit this now by then just shuffling my pieces over, maybe knight e4 and then trying to get it into action here. But then first I have to kind of protect. So what I play in preparation is rook g1 just to protect this pawn. And then they rightfully so play king h8 just to get it out of the way. I start to bring my queen in with queen e3, and then they bring their rook in for defense along the g file. I take the free pawn. I think that I am normally greedy with taking pawns like this. I try to like secure an advantage no matter how small it is, and then I try to eke it out slowly. I find that sometimes it works against me, but then other times it works fairly well. And in this case, I think it worked out pretty well. They play rook g6 to attack my queen. I just drop it back. I'm okay with keeping this pressure here, and I feel pretty safe with my queen in this position. Queen g8 from black, just double protecting along the g file as the pressure is starting to mount up. But nicely enough, I have my knight on f3, which is protecting this g5 pawn. And then they play rook d8. I don't know what the intention of this move was, to be honest. It feels like somewhat of a diversion or something. It doesn't really do anything for me, so I just play h4. And then they play queen g7 with, I guess, plans to triple stack on the g file. But then again, why did they play rook d8, right? I play queen g4, just bringing my queen out of the way so that I could lead with my pawns, because the queen isn't really good as a frontline attacker. And then they triple stack now, and they've effectively lost the tempo because of moving their rook twice. And I play knight e4. I was able to play this because my queen is on the 4th rank, protecting it from the bishop. They play queen f8, getting their queen out of the crossfires, just like I did, and then I just play h5 to attack the rook. They take on e4, and then I take first with the rook, of course, because that's material. And the idea for them to take on e4 was to then just protect on g3, g6, to create somewhat of a safe zone for the king. But I continue my attack. I play knight h4 to attack the bishop, because it doesn't really have anywhere else to go at this point. They bring their queen back to the attack, and then here this rook d8 or d7 move came because I was thinking, like, in this position there's so many pieces that are tied up protecting the king that it almost felt a little bit much, especially since my pawn is the leading attacker here, and my knight being very covert in the background. So I was thinking a flank attack could be really nice, because then it creates somewhat of a diversion away from all the action that's going on here. I could then instigate an attack on the queen side to kind of create more pressure and create another initiative. They protect with the bishop, so they play bishop d8, and then I double up on the d file, effectively just swinging my attack away from what's happening on the king side over to the queen side. They take on e5, so this is an inaccuracy. I think this is my opponent, I guess, trying to find some kind of like compensation or counterplay for all the pressure that the king side has been undergoing. I take the bishop with check on g6, and then they take with the pawn, which is a blunder, because now I can just pretty much mate them in 2. So I play queen h4, and then the king has no choice but to move to g7, where I can deliver a checkmate supported by this pawn here. I think this is called the dovetail mate. I can't remember correctly. But I guess the alternatives from here, queen e5, instead of playing queen e5, they needed to hit my queen. I guess sack the bishop, take this, and then to just effectively neutralize the pressure. Then my knight's hanging. Oh, because this is under check. Jeez Louise. Okay, yeah, then they could take there. Yeah, that would have been a nice way for them to neutralize the pressure of the attack. But then queen e5. Queen e5, I guess, takes here, h5, en passant, queen f6, and then I can just take, and then queen trade. And then here we're effectively up material, up a whole rook, and then plus like I've got all these pawns on the queen side to gobble up my rook. I don't really care about this each pawn anymore at this point. But yeah, this was an interesting game. Like it was pretty fun orchestrating this attack, and it all kind of sprouted from that strange opening that my opponent played with e6, d6, and yeah, queen g4. We were just having fun with that, but it worked out. I know now that like this can be refuted though. Like I think it was bishop f6 that was the issue here, but then just pushing here would have had to move my bishop away. So yeah, this was a lot of fun. I'm not sure if I'm gonna alternate between chess.com and Lichess. I play primarily on chess.com, so maybe I'll just keep doing that. But yeah, I'm not gonna overthink it. I guess I'm just gonna play chess. That's it. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed.